Now, this is one of those stories where the name alone makes people stop and pay attention, because Mystikal isn't just some random artist from the past. He's a rapper who had a real run, a real fan base, and a real legacy in Southern hip-hop. But now, that legacy has taken another major hit. Mystikal, whose real name is Michael Tyler, has been sentenced to 20 years in prison without parole after pleading guilty to a reduced third-degree repeat charge connected to a 2022 case in Louisiana. And to understand how it got here, you have to go back to the beginning of this case. Back in 2022, Mystikal was arrested in Louisiana after allegations were made against him involving a woman at his home. At the time, the charges were very serious, and the case immediately became a major headline because of both the nature of the accusations and Mystikal's past legal history. For a while, the case moved through the court system, and Mystikal originally maintained his innocence. Like a lot of high-profile cases, there was a long period of waiting, court dates, legal filings, and speculation about whether this would go to trial or end in some type of plea agreement. Then, in 2026, things shifted. Mystikal entered a guilty plea to a reduced charge of third-degree rape. That plea was important because the original accusations carried the possibility of a much harsher outcome, but the reduced charge still carried serious prison time. But after entering the plea, Mystikal later claimed he had made a mistake. According to reports, he argued that he did not fully understand what he was doing or that he entered the plea under the wrong impression. Basically, he tried to take it back, but the court did not accept that argument. Once a guilty plea is entered, especially in a serious criminal case, it is not something the court automatically allows someone to undo just because they later regret it. The judge moved forward with sentencing. During the sentencing proceedings, the victim addressed the court and spoke about what she said happened to her. And one of the most talked about moments came when Mystikal reportedly responded by saying, "If I did that to you, I deserve the max sentence." That line stood out because it was not a full confession in the way people might expect, but it also was not exactly a denial in that moment either. It was a statement that showed just how heavy the courtroom atmosphere was. And in the end, the judge gave him the maximum sentence available under that reduced charge, 20 years in prison, no parole. On top of that, Mystikal will also be required to register as a shocks offender when he is released. For longtime fans, this is another complicated chapter in a career that already had major highs and major legal lows. Mystikal was once known for his energy, his voice, his stage presence, and records that helped define a certain era of rap. But over the years, his legal issues have repeatedly overshadowed the music. And that is what makes this story bigger than just one sentence. It is about accountability, the justice system, a victim having her day in court, and a famous artist facing consequences that will now define the next 2 decades of his life. Some people will focus on the music, some people will focus on his past, some people will debate the plea deal. But what cannot be ignored is that the court has made its decision, and Mystikal is now set to spend 20 years behind bars. And for a rapper who once had the crowd jumping, this latest chapter ends in a courtroom with a prison sentence and a legacy that will always come with serious controversy attached to it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tap in with Short Clips Podcast for more stories just like this.